And now to all of our viewers and listeners from around the globe, good morning. The sun is shining around the world. Actually, the sun is shining. The sun is out there. It is always there. And now we see sometimes through a glass darkly. And then at other times it seems more clearly. So today I want to talk about what I think, what you think. It's an opinion. That's my thinking about it today. What is your opinion? And I'm looking at this from the point of view as I'm curious. What is an opinion? What is an opinion? What is that? And then also, where does it come from and how does it form? And then do we have any choice in that? And then how, after that, then how do we then influence our own opinions in the whole of that thing? And what came first, the chicken or the egg? You or your opinion or you or whatever. And why did the opinion cross the road and why were you even over there? I don't know. So, of course, I have an opinion about a lot of stuff, all kinds of things. And I'll see something in the news, or I'll watch a TV show or a movie, whatever, read a book, or a page of a book, or a line, or hear something on the radio, or have a memory, and then whatever, or see a photograph, a picture, painting, piece of art. And then now suddenly I have an opinion about something that's totally unrelated to anything that I meant to do on purpose. It's just somehow this opinion forms, it becomes what it is. It's an opinion, I have it. Where does it come from? How does it happen? Well, I think first you have to be exposed to something. But this goes to the mind too, and the mental process, and the imagination, the personality, and then also even formed preferences, or maybe they're part of you or me. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Again, and this is a question I have because the reason I'm asking it today is, rather should I say not, because one of these questions I have is the reason I'm asking it now is because what does anyone else think about or know about opinions? Because I want to learn about it. An opinion, I want to know what yours is, and I want to know where it came from and why do you think you have that. And then, other than that, I really don't care about what your opinion is. I don't care about what your opinion is, although I do want to know what your opinion is. I want to hear what is your opinion, but I don't care about your opinion. I don't really want to know anything about your opinion. I just want to hear it. And I think I don't know what that is. I don't know what you call that. But really don't want to know your opinion. But I do want to hear it. And so I'm going to ask you, well, what is your opinion? And then you will tell me your opinion. You will say, well, my opinion is this. Or you will say this, or that. And then, or X, Y, and Z, or Z plus D plus that minus this. To the power of 4 that's and 1 this and 17 of those. And then suddenly, upon hearing your opinion, now because I asked you for your opinion, I want to know what your opinion is. But I don't want to know anything about it. I don't really want to know what your opinion. I don't want to know your opinion. I don't want to have your opinion. But now that I've heard it, I have your opinion. As in, now listen to this. Pay attention to this. This is where it starts getting tricky or in the weeds, and this is why I'm asking this question. Now that I have your opinion, what am I to do with it? What am I doing with it? What am I now having regarding this opinion? What do I have now regarding this opinion? Or whatever it is you said. Now I have an opinion about what you said if I had anything to do with what you said, which I did, by saying to you, well, tell me what is your opinion, I want to know. And so, you have an opinion, I have an opinion. You have your facts, I have mine. You have your books, I have my books. And to the writing of books, there is no end. And you can see this in every book that's ever been written. So, the question is, what do you now do with my opinion now that you have it? Now you're going to choose to do something with it. That's reasonable. I think that's normal. Or you're going to feel like something, and then based on that feeling, you are going to be thinking over various options, and then you will do something. You will either not say anything or communicate something or not reply or think out loud or do anything, which is doing something. You're doing a thing. You're doing this. No thing. So in other words, you're doing nothing, but you are doing and you're responding to, in other words, this, that you now have that opinion. I have your opinion and you have mine. Whether anyone said they wanted it or not. And that means you now have an opinion. And then parenthetically, you could insert, and you now have and then here, parenthetical remarks, you could say, totally new and completely different opinion than you had before. As well as, in parenthetical, quote, an opinion. In other words, you could say, in other words. So, that's what an opinion is. It's something that you have. It's something that I'm going to use this term, but I know it sounds kind of weird because I don't know I'm not even sure what it means. Happens. And that's like saying, well, the stork rocked the baby to the front door. So that's what I want to know. Where do opinions come from? Where does that come from? And then how do they form? And then also, yes, I know that people have a feeling about opinions. I do. Sometimes I don't want to hear certain opinions because I don't like the way I feel when I am around certain opinions. I just don't like the way I feel. So I will not go around any place that I think or that I know, or that in my opinion would tend to be more along the lines of an opinion or opinion set, or anything that is displaying, or any person that's talking about, or any group of people that are talking about or thinking alike on these lines, and opinions that I don't like. In other words, that's just what it is. I don't like it. And that is, in my opinion, that doesn't mean anyone's a bad person or a good person because they feel a certain way. Nobody is going to have any control over how they feel, in my opinion. And I'm not a doctor, and I'm not specialized in any behavioral training other than when I see myself and I watch, and I've read a lot of books and I watch a lot of videos. Believe me, I've watched a lot of videos. Trust me. No, trust me, I've watched all kinds of videos. And all of these videos, and looked at all kinds of books. And all of these books help people form opinions. And now look, listen, everybody's going to be having a different opinion about anything they encounter, and they don't have any control over that. That's like having a feeling. But mostly, people aren't thinking about their opinions. I don't. And what is the difference between having an opinion and knowing that I need to turn left or right at a certain location in order to get to a certain destination or location that I want to be there on purpose? But I have an opinion that I should turn right or left. No, I don't have an opinion that I should turn right or left. I'm going to turn right or left. Well, why? Well, because I need to turn right or left. Well, why do you need to turn right or left? Because I'm going out here. Why do you need to go out there? Well, that's not your business. But you notice what, nothing that ever was said in that dialogue there was anything about anybody having an opinion. Because that's not how we use the word opinion. The word opinion is not brought up or used when it comes to things that people know or that are actually a fact. As in this. Well, in my opinion, there was a man on the moon, and he put a flag up on the moon, and yeah, in my opinion, it was actually, and also in my opinion, the earth is round. Well, actually, in my opinion, the earth is kind of flat. Actually, in my opinion, the earth is a table, and this is a table here, and under the table here, there's a turtle and an elephant and something else. I don't know. And then, no, in my opinion, the Earth is one of billions and trillions of Earths exactly like this. And actually, we're just all asleep. And whenever we read a comic book, we're actually reading it. And we are an alternate universe version of that, reading ourselves. And we think we're something different. You know, there's all of that. But all this stuff goes through the human mind so fast. And it's so we don't have any awareness of it. Beyond ubiquitous. It's not even, it's part of our DNA. It's part of the midichlorian influence, if you will. As, you know, Qui-gon Jinn, the wise and the powerful Qui-gon Jinn. Look, and this gets back to opinion. Qui-Gon told Anakin about the midichlorians. Anakin asked him, he said, look, he said, I heard Yoda talking about these midichlorians. I'm confused. What are midichlorians? Well, midichlorians, now here, Qui-Gon gives his answer. And I'm not gonna get it exactly, but here was what he said. Go back and watch the movie. Read the book. Any form you want to read it. Starting with the opening title crawl. Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And this movie is an all-time epic masterpiece, and that's just all there is to it. And if you also produced, written and directed by George Lucas, produced by Rick McCallum, executive producer George Lucas. And I'll tell you this right now, that movie deserves an Oscar. It deserves an Oscar. Ahmed Best deserves an Oscar in every category. I can't even, listen, don't get me started on Jake Lloyd. Jake Lloyd is listen man, this guy is an Oscar nominee, if not an all-time Oscar winner in my mind. Now you can go ahead and take that to the bank and in my opinion, yeah, because it's certainly a lot of other people's opinion. They didn't have the same idea that I had about Anakin Skywalker being portrayed by Jake Lloyd, and Jake Lloyd doing such a great job, a masterful performance as Anakin Skywalker. That's just what it is. And that's not even an opinion. Just watch the tapes. And here's where someone's going to disagree with me, I'll bet you. And they're going to say, well, no, it was horrible, and here's why. And this is my opinion, and I'll give you the reasons why I think it's horrible. Okay, well, let's talk about that. Usually, and I say usually because this is what the answers I get, response I hear, mostly, people haven't even watched the movie. They haven't even gotten through the opening title crawl. This is going to take me back to midichlorians. And it goes to, listen, George Lucas is a storyteller. And you might not like the way he's telling his stories, and you might not want to even hear his stories. That's all good. That's great. But one thing you cannot do, that you're not allowed to do, is say that The Phantom Menace is objectively a bad movie. You can't say that. You can't say it, and I just explained to you why. And if that was too difficult for you to understand, that is why George Lucas made his movie for children, so that anybody could understand it, even grown-up babies. Like perhaps you are a grown-up baby, like I am. Well, let me explain something to you. Babies know where the true source of their food is. The baby knows that. And then, of course, when the baby goes to school, they're taught all kinds of other things like, well, there is a time not to share, and there is a time to kind of hide things, blah, 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 and the next thing you know, you got, what? How did we get here? Well, all you need to do is rewatch the original Star Wars, the real Star Wars. And I'm not talking about this other stuff, the fake Star Wars, so to speak. Hey, look, I'm going to call it what it is. It's real in that it's really there, but it's fake in that it's not real Star Wars. And you know it, and I know it. And because it's not, the creator has nothing to do with it. This should be the first indicator that anyone wants to know if the original movies were objectively good or bad, or they want to say it out loud. Well, these movies are objectively bad, or these movies are objectively good. Because I have a different opinion about that, and I'll tell you what it is, and then I'll tell you why. And then I will explain it to you. I'm not going to tell you that you are not allowed to have a different opinion than me. That's not the way I think. And in my opinion, that doesn't help anything I want to accomplish, unless all I want to accomplish is just not listening to someone's opinion and then giving my own. I mean, that's it. or possibly putting myself in a position where all I am is just getting mad and angry, and then I just start yelling at people. And I see people do this all the time. They will start yelling at people on the internet, and this will have to be about Star Wars. And these people are arguing about all kinds of stuff in Star Wars that maybe are real or not real, or no, he meant this, he did say that, or the prequels are the worst movies ever, objectively, and yet they are rejecting the very creator and the work and the art and the book of the creator and the creation of the creator and the universe of the creator and of the creator's design, and according to the creator's will and wishes and most perfect and excellent plan. And that creator is George Lucas. And this is the reason why, objectively, The Phantom Menace is one of the greatest movies ever made in the history of movie making, let alone in the history of Hollywood, let alone in the history of Weirdowood. Listen, let me explain something to you. That is not just an opinion, which that is, of course, my opinion. This is based on my observation of an encounter of the facts. And this is what I think about the facts. First of all, let's take it backwards. Pick one part of, or tell me one part of any of those movies that didn't measure up. It was horrible. It was terrible. Okay, 90% of the time, most of the arguments are going to be laid out, and we'll see what you say to this. But do not comment, because we're dismantling the comment feature due to all the bots, the Russian bots. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know if that's real, but whatever. So now, if you look at this opinion, well, Star Wars is a great. Oh boy, that was great. And then the prequels came along. Oh, that was horrible. It's like George Lucas forgot how to make a movie. Oh, so what you're telling me is, let me get this straight. Let me understand this. George Lucas, the creator of Star Wars, goes back for a second time and tells a second set of stories, another trilogy, this time to tell the story of what happened right before the first trilogy that you encountered, that you watched. In other words, he went back and told a prequel story. Well, first of all, nobody had ever done that. Okay, that was confusing to a lot of people. So then they were excited about it. A lot of people were. I remember sitting in an office, a waiting room office. It was in a doctor's office. And it was around probably 1998, 99, I don't remember, but I saw the preview for the trailer for The Phantom Menace come on television there. It's the first time I'd ever seen it. And I don't even think I had a TV at my house at the time. And I wasn't aware that there was such a thing as a trailer or a preview or whatever like this out yet. I knew they were coming out with it. And when I saw it, it was absolutely incredible, mind-blowing. I actually cried while I was watching it there, waiting to see the chiropractor or whatever it was. And I remember when I went into the movie theater then to see that movie, and I had seen the originals, Star Wars, but I did see Star Trek the Motion Picture as well at the drive-in theater when that came out. But I saw Star Wars in 1977. I was the age of 10 years old. I was 10 years old, age of 10, encountered Star Wars at the Central City Mall there in San Bernardino, California, and there's where I first encountered Star Wars. And it was a theater cinemaplex in there, and it was a great. That's where I also saw Superman the movie, but it was a great movie. Not to mention, it changed my life. That's an understatement. It was a great movie. What I mean to say is that movie I'd never seen anything like it, and nobody had ever seen anything like it. And it was absolutely, it turned the world upside down. It changed the world. Now, fast flash forward, I was 10 years old. Flash forward all the way now to 1999. And now I'm, you do the math. And I had taken one of my children to see this, and my child was there with me. And let me tell you, my kids, I don't know what their reaction was, but I cried during the opening title crawl. It's just the first indicator that this was going to be the absolute everything I wished for and hoped for and expected. Finally, we're going to get a real movie, man. I've been watching nothing really exciting since Return of the Jedi. And then next thing comes up, you have the comics and all that, the Marvel comics, the Dark Horse, the Legacy, and the EU and the books. And it stayed in the culture. But then came the Phantom Menace, and believe me, then as soon as the first ship starts coming in, flying in from the left, I said, this is it. This is real Star Wars. Right through the end, the final end, when you finally hear the man, that was Star Wars all the way through. And then I went to go again to see it. And keep in mind, my kids were really young, probably pre-kindergarten and somewhere starting elementary school. And then so my kids grew up with Star Wars through the prequels. And also, I remember taking one of my kids when this child was really young to go see the special editions when they came out in theaters again. And so technically, that child did see all of them. So this is like how I think about Star Wars. And I respect anything the creator does, not just because it came out with the creator's name splashed all over it, as we see what's going on today. Man, you can put the creator's name on just about anything, and people will buy it as if it is, oh, that's the real thing, and they'll just drink it down, gobble it down, and next thing you know, that becomes the real thing. But everybody knows it's not the real thing. Just go back and look at the originals. We have the originals. We have the original creator. He's still with us. And yet these people continue to put out trash. It's garbage. It's trash. Look, even the best of it is just at the very best a fine and respectful and a high quality tribute. And it carries on the legacy in terms of being a legacy in an expanded universe and so on and so forth. But look, man, if you don't have the creator, if the creator's not involved, it's just not real Star Wars. And that is all there is to it. And you can look at other analogies like let's say a fan of Star Trek doesn't go back and watch the original series, the Roddenberry and all that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not a Star Trekkie, but I grew up watching Star Trek and I love it. It's a great story. It's a great bunch of stories. I love it. I love the books, the comics, the characters, the actors, all of it. I didn't really quite feel so passionately about the new ones that came out, but they're well-made movies, and I do think the first one that was made, directed by J.J. Abrams, that was really good. And Star Trek: The Motion Picture, directed by Robert Wise. Now that is a great sci-fi movie, and it's also a great movie. And then also The Wrath of Khan, and I don't know who directed The Wrath of Khan, but that's of course a classic Star Wars movie. And then they're all great movies, all those movies. So, in my opinion, you see, as we get back here to Qui-Gon and George Lucas explaining this stuff. So George would say, you don't understand the midichlorians, let me explain it to you. And then you would say back to George, well, I still don't understand. And then George would say, well, don't worry. With much time and patience, and when you learn to quiet your mind, you'll blah, 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 you'll understand. And then you just need more time training. And that's how George is teaching us about the world and about his world, our world. Now, if you want to know what's going on in our world, just watch the Star Wars, the real Star Wars. And the creator told us already the reason we've been given this is so that we can watch and learn how good people can turn evil by their choices and by their surroundings, the people that are around them. And then also how a democratic republic, or how a republic, a democracy, can become an authoritarian dictatorship. And if you will look and pay attention to what the creator is saying, he's still with us. Watch the original movies. Star Wars episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I would even say throw in the holiday special, because why not? And look, here's where I would just disagree with the creator on this one. While the creator says no, I say, come on. But this is me talking to the creator. I'm not going to say it is or isn't real Star Wars. I'm saying, well, it is to me. But, you may like the prequels, you may not like the prequels. And if you don't understand the midichlorians, just go back and watch the movie. Just watch the movie. And if you don't like the movies, fine. But how are you going to say that, for one thing, it's too complicated? You're going to hear this a lot. Well, it's too complicated. Or it's the title of the movie. It was a horrible title. Objectively, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, is a horrible title. Let me get this straight. Objectively. Okay, well, it doesn't matter what your definition of objectively is, or objective, or whatever, subjective. It doesn't matter. It's not your movie, and you didn't write it. George Lucas wrote the movie, and he didn't write it for you. So don't worry about it. And I'm glad you have an opinion. But just because somebody has a different opinion than you doesn't mean that your opinion that you might have is that, oh, I need to say this to that person. Well, then you're obviously either a liar or blah, 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 or you're a weirdo or whatever. And these people will say all kinds of stuff about everybody and to everybody on the internet that disagree with them about something about Star Wars, and yet they will never go back to the original source that the creator made and settle a disagreement that way. And based on they do not like the source that the creator provided. That is the prequels and the original trilogy. Well, they liked the original trilogy till the creator went back and made it the way he wanted it. So they wanted it a certain way, and the creator wanted it a different way, and they said nope, and they literally separated themselves from the creator. It's almost as if, now look, here I'm going to use a story, an analogy here. Not an analogy, but well, maybe it is. It's like that story in the Bible where Lucifer took a third of the angels to battle the kingdom of heaven, the angels of heaven. And Lucifer and his angels were overthrown and cast down. And it's almost like, and now look, I'm not saying that anybody that disagrees with anybody on Star Wars is either Lucifer or God. But what I'm saying is the creator in this case is God over the Star Wars universe. And you can get all this. Look, just get the books. Read this in the books. I don't really have a whole lot of time to really explain all of this to you. What I am trying to say is everyone has an opinion. And if you don't like either my opinion about your opinion or not, or maybe I have a different opinion and you don't like my opinion about something that you have a different opinion about, and you happen to hear what I said, well, then don't worry about it. In my opinion, that's the best way to do anything, but you might feel like you should worry about it. I'm going to tell you something. This is not my opinion. My life got a lot better and listen, I'm a healthier person today when I stopped giving people my opinion, and I stopped acting like I'm a frog on a hot skittle trying to keep from getting cooked. A hot griddle, trying to keep from getting cooked while the heat's being turned up because I just won't get off of the griddle. Just don't do based on your opinion just because you have an opinion. That's what I'm saying. I am saying this as an absolute 100% recommendation. Unless it's a matter of national emergency and the clock is ticking, literally, as the clock is ticking here for me, us, on this particular episode of whatever it is we're talking about, and that is, what is your opinion? That I really don't care anything about, but I do want to know, what is it? Sometimes I'll say, well, what is your opinion about that? Maybe I did. I won't ask someone, what is your opinion? Unless I think I might be benefited from it in some way, either to accomplish a mission or do my own job or help somebody or help them. So I will say, well, what is your opinion? What do you think? That is different from saying, well, what are the numbers? What is going on? What is the fact that we're basing this? Where are the facts here? What are the facts? Well, the facts are that, in my opinion, the sun is shining today. No. The fact is, it's a really clear day today. The sun is shining. Okay, got it. We need to change. Sometimes, this is my opinion. We should be more aware of how our opinions are guiding our own behavior without us even knowing it. That's what I'm saying here. I think this would be a much better way of helping people help other people, starting with helping people to help themselves, their world, their own self, their world, their neighborhood, their own kids, their own people that they need to support in order to support themselves and in order to, whatever that means. Listen, whatever it is, whatever that means to you, might be happiness, rest, perhaps to leave this life on your own terms and in the manner that you so choose. A lot of these goals and wishes and hoped for outcomes, I think, would be better achieved if we really wanted to achieve these, like world peace. It put an end to world hunger. Let's have everybody live to 1,000 years old. Well, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that would need to be considered if you want every person to live until they're 1,000 years old. Think about it. Okay, well, that's it. Whatever your opinion about anything or anyone, I don't care. But of course, sometimes I will ask. And then sometimes I will want to know, well, where did you get that opinion? Why do you think that is? And sometimes people will say, well, it's because you asked me that because you disagree with me, and therefore I'm either afraid of you or I don't like you or I do not trust you. Because you're either doing this to me, or you're trying to manipulate me, or you obviously are my enemy because you have a different opinion than me. And that's what it's based on. Is that these people, we all have different opinions from each other. And that is normal. No one is a bad person for having any opinion that they have. And then I would also say there's a difference in an opinion and a preference and a passion. And all of these can be, I think, for the most part, managed through how we guide our own thinking process on purpose. But an opinion, and also though a preference, like let's say somebody doesn't like onions, but they love Doritos, or they hate cauliflower, but they love broccoli, or they love broccoli with peanut butter, but they hate bananas with something, blah, blah, blah. those are some preferences that some people just aren't going to change, but then others might. They might change. Their preferences might change, and I don't think that's a sign that anyone's bad or good. It just means they're normal. They have a preference. Okay, now then, as to how passionate you are about any of that stuff, I guess would be up to you. So let's ponder that and then prepare and plan for the next um, people's gathering, whatever it is. I ran out of peas. Okay, friends, that's it. That's all the time we have for today. Remember, your focus determines your reality. And also, I want to say this. Midichlorians, just go back and watch the movie if you don't understand it. George Lucas explains it all. Anakin says, I don't understand. What are midichlorians? They're tiny, microscopic living creatures that they live inside of every living cell, something like that. And they are constantly speaking to us, telling us the will of the Force. Without the midichlorians, we would have no knowledge of the Force and blah, 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 the will of the Force. And look, I'll have to go back and rewatch myself. Almost done here. And then Anakin says, well, I don't understand. And Qui-Gon says, when you learn to quiet your mind, you'll hear them speaking to you. Well, Anakin says, I don't understand. And Qui-Gon says, don't worry, Annie, with time and training, you will. You have to be patient, blah, 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 and all that. So go back and watch the movie Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, an all-time epic masterpiece. And may the Force be with us. Yeah, Oscar worthy, in my opinion. And that is a fact. You can take that to the bank. Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.